The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
You announced that you're not seeking re-election to the District Attorney's Office. What went into that decision?
Okay, it's a very difficult decision. I'm in my 12th year as District Attorney. I was under Sam Sutter, the first assistant, so I'm in my 20th year of being in a top position. Been reflecting on it probably sometime around the spring, late spring last year. I don't think there's any particular reason. There's nothing bad going on, but I feel like I've accomplished to some, what I wanted to accomplish. There's significant demands on the job. It's a 24-hour-a-day job, which I have liked and enjoyed. My family has been a big part of that, and they have been very supportive. My wife, understands and has been very supportive. You get calls this weekend about the case you just referred to, and there are a lot of different things. But I decided, based on, again, a number of factors, it's time to move on. And, I'm walking away from the position, which, sometimes doesn't happen. But I think I feel sort of like a little bit of an inner calling, if you will, it's time to move on. And upon, consultation with family and some friends, I think everybody understands. And very tough decision. Talking to the staff and whether people were surprised or not, I've tried to, the job's not been about me, it's been about serving the public as best I can, protecting the community, doing the best you can with the staff, and I've decided it's time to move on. So I don't have any particular plans. I'm not, at this point, so I hope to finish strong, and it'll have been 12 years as a district attorney, and as I said, 8 years as first assistant, and prior to that, I had 8.5 years as a prosecutor, so I just think the time is right for me to move on to another phase of my life.
Yeah, let me ask, because you're not running, in any political position, if you're interested in staying for a while, there's always the thought of the next election, right? Is it going to make this last year easier for you in many ways in terms of maybe doing some things that may not look politically advantageous because you're not running for re-election? Do you understand that?
No, I understand what you say. I mean, the district attorney is a political position. Now, I'm focusing on doing the job, trying to be fair and doing justice, but it clearly is a political position. We'll have to see what the issues are. I mean, there are, I guess, theoretically less constraints on you if you want to discuss issues, but I'm not running, so while I might be out and about somewhat, there is no campaign that I'm organizing and having to be focused about, the various attacks and things that come. So we'll see if there are issues that I feel should be addressed, I'll address them. And obviously, I have the people to answer to, but I'll be done at the end of this year. So yeah, it could be. We'll see. I've tried to be professional in the way I handle things, the way I comment. If I think there's something wrong, I'll speak. But, you want to have some restraint for a number of reasons. You're dealing with the court, you're dealing with the public. As a DA speaking, I'm trying to speak with some authority about things, and that hopefully people have confidence that what I'm saying is accurate. So we'll see.
What has changed over your time? Even going back when you were just a prosecutor under Sam Sutter and the first assistant DA, now DA, what has changed in terms of the work that's done here? I'm sure some of it is the same, but has things changed, and have there been any, I guess, additional challenges in your years here that may frustrate you at times?
A lot of things can frustrate you. My goal is to push cases through the court system as fast as possible and as reasonable as possible, because you have victims and witnesses that are fragile at times, and the older a case gets, it can be difficult to prosecute. But Yeah, I mean, I think things have changed. I think technology has changed the way cases are prosecuted. When I first started out, there was no technology. I mean, it was witness testimony. Now, video surveillance, DNA obviously, but video surveillance, and then the phones and data location have all changed the dynamics of these cases. Which means you have to invest in technology and people have to be versed in it. The atmosphere has changed somewhat. I think, I guess it's going back a period of time. I think there seems to be more hostility towards law enforcement. More people are questioning the system. You hear with the Karen Reed trial, people in general terms, you say the system's corrupt, and this is, and I'm not saying they're all saying it, but I'm not corrupt, and I've tried to, prosecute the matters in a fair and just way. There obviously can be disagreements, but it's a nastier arena now in general with things, and I think with the technology available to people, the people can just blog in and make comments that are unsubstantiated in general. But I think there have been fewer arrests the last 5 or 6 years, fewer cases brought. That's not changed things, but that's a factor of a number of things. You had the legalization of marijuana years ago. I think that's resulted in fewer charges being brought. I think there's hesitancy on part of the police for, maybe engaging in stops that they used to because there can be the finger being pointed at them. Obviously, the police have to act appropriately, but I think there's unfounded attacks on them. I also find the jury pools are a little different. I think their demands, maybe focused on more clearer proof than they used to be. Like they're grown up in a world of technology. So I think people are looking for that. Where is the evidence? Where in the past, there were convictions based on testimony that did not involve technology. So that is a challenge, I think.
Yeah, but is there, are you actually, are the rate of successful prosecutions up because of the technology, because you have, in effect, a lot more evidence that you can
Very good point. I would say yes in some cases because, for example, surveillance video. We've had shootings in primarily the urban areas that would not be prosecuted without technology. That's been a huge factor. There was a recent conviction, I think, on the New Bedford-Dartmouth line. Without the technology, there'd be no charges. So we've had a number of cases like that. Homicides have been solved as a result of that. That would not have been solved in the past. We have a very high clearance rate of homicides, of solving and charging them, which is close to 100%. And that, thanks to the investigative efforts of the state police and local communities, but also you got stuff on video they didn't used to have, and when you have uncooperative witnesses, if that's all you have, you don't have a case.
What have you seen from the judiciary? I mean, obviously your office works very closely with the court system. There has been, depending on the cases, and I'm going to specifically, point out one, the attack on former Mayor Will Flanagan. That individual has demonstrated mental health issues. There's been some, questioning of the court system in terms of whether that individual should have even been out because of other cases he was involved with. Has it been more difficult to try to work with the judges and the clerks in terms of getting things done that you may see in the office as a potential threat, similar to what that individual with former Mayor Flanagan?
Well, that's a pending case and a very serious case. I mean, the problem, you're dealing with several issues. I've been around a long time. I know who should be on the street, so to speak, and who shouldn't be. The mental health system in dealing with criminal defendants is woefully lacking. I think it's something that needs to be addressed. People are constantly saying it's a mental health issue, all the mental health problems, but I don't know what's really been done to address them. It's not an easy solution. But whether somebody should be in custody or not, for mental health is really determined by court clinicians, the court making a finding. So it's really a case-by-case basis. There are a number of factors that go into different things. You know, yes, is there truly a mental health issue? There's a difference between saying a person, to use this term, is crazy. People say, oh, he's crazy. But legally crazy is different. There's a case going on right now up, you know, in the courthouse that is a mental health defense. Police officer was almost murdered in Taunton. But the general public saying, this guy's crazy, but then there has to be a court finding of that, whether the person is not competent or fit to stand trial, and or if they are they responsible for their conduct? Most people, the vast majority of people, are legally responsible for their conduct, even though there's some bizarre aspects to it. So I think at times, you know, are the judges an obstacle to that? I don't know. The judges, you know, have a lot of things to consider. They're a neutral party, but I think at times people are clearly not sentenced appropriately and put back out on the street that don't belong there based on their record and their conduct. But that's something that's gone on for a long time. That's something I've tried to fight against because protection of the public from these individuals has been a top priority of mine.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I know there's still, you know, about a year until you actually leave the office, but have you had an opportunity to look at your career and some of the things you've been particularly proud of over your 12 years here as DA, and what would those be? Well, I was reminiscing the last month or so because I'm not running and my career as I know it will be over at the end of the year, so that is sobering on a number of fronts. I think what I'm, you know, to look back and say I'm proud of this, proud of that, I mean, we've had some high, as district attorney, and then I was, you know, the first assistant, but had some high profile convictions, the Aaron Hernandez case, the Michelle Carter case, and other maybe less noteworthy cases, but significant nonetheless. There was a cult prosecution of individuals who were raping victim, and other homicides and other serious cases. So I actually, in the Aaron Hernandez case, after he committed suicide, I argued the case. The case was dismissed, and I went to the Supreme Judicial Court and argued that they should change the law because it made no sense, and they did. Somebody said to me, what are you doing that for? Well, because that's what should be done. This does not make any sense. All the effort that went into it, prosecution, appeal, and they're just going to say, oh, he died, so we dismissed the whole process like it never happened. But I think really the day-to-day prosecution of cases, trying to be fair, trying to make sure appropriate sentences are meted out, at least from our perspective, and trying to view each case as it comes. I mean, I had other cases when I was not the DA. I mean, I prosecuted 2 school murders over 30 years ago. You know, those are significant cases. But I think overall, day to day, trying to be fair to people, that, you know, each case has to be viewed on its own merits, and try to be open-minded to what ought to happen. You know, people come to you with various, you know, issues or factors in a case they want you to consider. Any letter sent to me, I've always looked at it and tried to view each case on its own basis, because everybody's entitled to a fair shake for the system to work. What's your relationship been, and how important has it been to work with local police departments within the county? How important is that? And I believe you even mentioned earlier that, you know, a lot of police departments are not viewed in a positive light anymore. So how helpful has that been? Well, I wouldn't say, I mean, I think there's more negativity towards the police. I don't think that's fair overall. There's, like any profession, the issues with people, you know, any profession. But I think there's been some bad publicity, and I think that needs to be rectified, because if you don't have order in society, you don't have a society. But I'm just saying, I think that's something that could impact the case. I'm not saying that it does all the time, but I think that overall, I've had a good relationship with the police. Police have a tough job. They're out there responding to serious matters with individuals who are violent, who are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, who are non-compliant. Then they've got everybody taping them all the time now. You know, I view that
they're kind of, well, I don't care for it in the sense that that's sort of the, oh, you're a police officer, I'm going to tape them, which I guess they can do, but it's very simple. Do what the officer says and there'll be no problems. And if there's an issue, the court system will take care of it. Not saying I'm, taking off on a high-speed chase or resisting the police. So they have a tough job, and it's become tougher because of the aura that's been created that I think's gone too far, frankly. Again, police have to behave themselves. They have to follow the law, but in general, they're dealing with difficult circumstances out there. They're not just saying to me, they walk outside, come with me. So, yes, sir, yes, I'll come right here. They're dealing with people who have just, in many cases, committed serious crimes against people, and they get a non-conforming response, which is resistance of some sort. So I've had a good relationship with the police overall during my time as the first assistant, as a young prosecutor, and as a DA.
Even though you're not running, and we still don't know, who's going to be running for a Democrat or a Republican, do you think you're going to endorse potentially someone, maybe the Democrat, whoever the nominee is?
Yeah. I would say most likely. I mean, a former employee of mine, Seth Akins, says he's running. Chris Markey has announced he's running, the state representative from Dartmouth. I don't know if anybody else is going to get in. So they have to get 1,000 signatures. The papers come out the next week or two. That's my understanding. So I'll address that at a later time. I would just say, this is a very important position. You need someone with integrity, with hopefully appropriate judgment, who is trying to do the right thing in terms of the role of DA, seeing that justice is done, holding people accountable, reacting to the evidence. So you need someone who is trying to get the job for the right reasons. If you don't, it'll be a disaster.
Let me ask you, I know you touched upon this a little bit. This will be the final question. Have you thought about what's next at all? You said you didn't, but I mean, is there what you'd like to do next?
I mean, I've thought about it. A few people said to me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to do something. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, I don't have any plans now. I want to finish the term out. I might, there were different things I would like to do. I'd like to read more. People say I'll volunteer. I think I might want to see if there's an area to volunteer in. I think having the ability to do things without time constraints, make sure I walk every day, visit with people that I can't do in the job. As I said, maybe help out in the community. And nothing grandiose. People will say, I'm going to volunteer. Giving back to the community. People say, I want to give it. Service is important. That's how I view the job. I'm serving the community, and I've tried to do that. I mean, we're all not perfect, so I think that would be part of it. And I've reflected on the decision for a number of months. Family is behind me. A few people, which is good, said, gee, why are you leaving? Wish you were staying, which is gratifying. But, I think when I explain to them, I'm walking away on my own terms. The job that I did will be left for other people, but people have been very positive because I'm not in it for the next move, and that's fine if that's your calling, but my calling was, and I'll end it on this. 11 years ago, Sam Sutter ran in a special election and became the mayor. The position was vacant. Never happened before. Governor Patrick was on his way out. Governor Baker was coming in, so it was a significant, unique event, and through the support of the community, the office, and my family, both governors appointed me, and I'd be forever grateful for that. So that's how I came in, a little different. So I'm going out on my own terms, and again, hopefully, with gratitude to the people I've worked with. This is a tough job. I've loved the job, but it's not an easy job. You got a lot of different things you're competing with, and these people have helped make that job easier. For me, and I think it's been impactful. The senior citizens, I made a priority protecting them. They deserve that. Other initiatives, you mentioned, cold cases we focused on. We put resources, the rape kit initiative, I think you're familiar with that, to test all these rape kits that weren't. The victims have a right to have that done, and many other things, but that's a joint effort. I've been about doing the job, not about the power to me, as I said. I always respected the power. I can make life difficult or easy for somebody. I've always tried to look at it straight down the line. I mean, some people might be upset with crimes, but in the end, if I say to you, you want a fair shake for you or your family member if you come into the criminal justice system, what are they going to say? No? I'm going to say yes. So that's the approach I've tried to take during my career.